I think so. Oh, yeah. Is that better?
Gentlemen, Mr. Guy Serle.
And the sound isn't working. How come the sound isn't coming through?
You got it piped into your, you got it plugged into the 1A?
Yeah.
System preferences.
All right, well, pretend you can hear the tubes.
Audio input. Setting.
Anyone here Tubes fans?
Tubes.
No? Okay. This is a classic album, Remote Control. Great album. Okay, pretend you all heard that. Thank you all very much. I'm Guy Serle from the My podcast, a podcast with a long and illustrious history up until about show 285. Which is where I took over. And I am honestly terrible at podcasting by myself. I've never been able to do it. I don't know how Tim does it every week with OWC Radio. I cannot do it. I have to have someone to bounce off of, and other than taking Ritalin, I have to have someone. So, in this particular case, they found someone for me. Wait, didn't it? All through that entire thing? Wasn't that impressive? Thank you. So I'd like to welcome Mr. Gary Gazmaz Malpas. I don't know why it did it the way it did, because I need help. Gary, please come up on stage. Pretend you didn't see him when Mike was up there. Unmute. It's Gary. It's Gary. This is actually, we've been doing this podcast together for practically 6 years. Yeah. Almost every, yeah.
Sure, it's like 20.
Yeah, I'm sure. It's a lot of sense there.
It is. It's unfitting.
So, but this was actually the very first time that I had met Gary. I picked him and Don up at the airport and got into the car, and we had dinner last night and all the rest of it. The whole time it was like I've known him for years.
And if anyone listens to the podcast, they should know.
How many people listen to the MyMac.com podcast?
No.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's all about it.
How many people after this presentation is not going to listen? Thank you. I'm sorry about nobody here all week. So, but before we start, I do want to say a big thank you to Mike Potter for putting this entire thing together. And I mean, he's just awesome. And also Barry Falk for the wonderful barbecue that we're all going to have tonight. Please clap. So we really, really thank you. And that's Becky, by the way. That's how I feel. Yes, I do. So I should just stop.
Okay, Mike, not to be leaving.
Okay, so what we're going to talk about very, very briefly is, clone. I had a Lumax C600, which was a great machine. And then I had a Motorola StarMax machine. The biggest piece of crap I ever owned. It was awful. So this is a presentation by myself and Mr. Gazmaz. And so as we begin here, there we go. So the first thing that you need to know about buying a Mac is that you should not do roller coasters. Hold on. I'm sorry. I don't know how that got there. I am pretty scared. Okay, so seriously, what Mac should you buy? Things to consider. How much is it going to cost? Will it fit within your budget? What your intended use case is. Yeah, that's probably not a good idea. Also, what kind of software are you going to use for it? Needed software. whether you're a desktop or mobile user, or possibly both. And lastly, how long do you intend to use whichever computer it is that you're going to get? So, Gaz, when you look at buying a computer, when you think about budget, what is it that you typically are looking at?
When I think about budget?
Yeah, for buying a new computer.
Wow, it's how much money I've got at the most recent bonus, I suppose. One of the things I've always done, guys, is sell my old Mac. Now, that is sacrilege to some people, but actually I'll put the old Mac on eBay or try and sell it locally, wherever, and that often funds my next Mac. And I got into quite a good routine of selling them fairly quickly.
Well, you got that great quad-core Mac Mini now.
Absolutely, but the new ones aren't quad-core, so
Yeah.
I'm going to have to upgrade perhaps to something a little bit more powerful.
A little more powerful.
Yeah, budget's always a problem. It's whether one of the things, a lot of people may or may not have heard the story I had with an experience buying a Mac on eBay. And basically it was a stolen Mac, which we found out about.
You didn't steal it.
I didn't steal it, no. The person I bought it from had stolen it. And we had that iMac for about a year before the police came knocking. And when they came knocking, I was rather surprised. However, the iMac went back, which it was a 27-inch iMac, a little bit of an older model, but it cost me quite a lot of money. And obviously...
Well, you got all that back though, right?
No, I got none of that money back because the person who stole it from this other person, it had to go back and it went to the courts, but I got zilch. And I spoke to my wife about it, and she's the sensible one. And she said, well, you had it for about a year, so how long was that cost over the year? And do you know what? The cost over the year, I thought about it that way, and a lot of people liken buying things to buying a Starbucks or Costa coffee. We put it that way, and that was fine. But actually that brought me forward, Guy, to thinking about actually doing the same thing with Macs going forward.
Yep.
The cost over the length of the time that you use the Mac,
Total cost of ownership.
minimal when it comes to a Mac.
Like, for example, the laptop that I'm currently using this on, that I did this terrible presentation for, is a 2009 MacBook Pro. I picked it up for like $400 off eBay. Already had 8 gigs of RAM. I threw an SSD in it from OWC. And it's been phenomenal. And this is now a 6-year-old laptop running the latest Macintosh software, running the latest Macintosh OS, and it's fabulous. You don't actually need to go out and buy a brand new Macintosh
Nope.
if it's not within your budget.
Nope.
And you can still run everything. So another thing to consider is, what do you intend to use your Macintosh for?
In fact, can I just jump in there?
Will you let me finish? No, go ahead.
Excellent. Excellent.
He's always right.
Another area that I go to is actually the Apple Refurb store as well. If you're tight on a budget, go to the Apple Refurb store or any reseller. The resellers have the refurbs as well.
Yep.
So check them out. If you've got a good Apple reseller close to you, please check them out. Check them out, definitely.
Now, the other thing you have to ask yourself is, what are you going to use this computer for? If you're going to be editing video, chances are you don't want like one of those new MacBooks, or even like the low-end Mac Mini. You want something with...
Telephone is ringing!
Actually, that is the recording of my son Peter's performance in Spamalot. How that got started? Oh, you know what? I bet it was the remote.
Yeah.
So, just like I do at home, what I'm supposed to do before Gaz and I start to record is turn off my phone. I don't always manage to do that. I cannot believe that. I could not have set that up. I could not have set that up, but that is typically what happens. If you're doing video or you're doing audio, you're using GarageBand or you're using Logic or you're using something along those lines, you want a computer with a little more horsepower. The other thing to consider is how long you're going to use the computer. And these days, even through the Apple Refurb store, there are still a lot of machines there that only have 4 gigs of RAM. go up to 8. Don't get a machine with less than 8 gigs of RAM, because going forward, that's going to limit you to what you do, especially since Apple in their infinite wisdom has made it so it's almost impossible to change out the RAM now. Thank you, Apple. Now, the other thing to consider is, and it kind of goes along with the intended use case, is what kind of software do you need? The software that you use kind of defines what kind of Mac user you are. And it doesn't matter if you're a novice or someone who has used computers for a very long time like me that still can't figure it out. It's important that you get the Macintosh that is going to run the software that you want to run. And because, and you know, let's be real here, Macintoshes cost a lot more than their Windows equivalents for pretty much the same horsepower, but you'll use that machine for at least twice as long. And that is something to consider when you're buying a computer. Desktop or mobile user. If you use your computer while you're out and about a lot, then what's really the point in getting a desktop computer when things like OWC's Thunderbolt dock, and there's other docks that work with, you know, depending on what year of Macintosh you have, like my 2009, obviously, oh, don't go away now, don't go away. The 2009 Macintosh obviously does not have Thunderbolt or USB 3. It's, you know, it's the basic machine, but it will do everything that I want it to do, including editing video, editing audio, doing all these things, making terrible keynote presentations. It will do it. So, and this machine will last me for another couple of years. And I paid $400 in the price of an SSD for it. So again, that comes down to length of use. How long you use your computer also determines how much it costs in the long run. And you can't look at a major purchase like a high-end Windows machine or a high-end Macintosh spread out over the first 6 months that you own it, because it doesn't really work that way. It's how long in total are you going to use this machine, and how much is this machine going to cost you in total over the course of time that you use it. Now, did that work? Yes, it did. Yay. So I've got a couple of examples here. I'm not saying they're necessarily good examples, but they are examples. So you've got a business person. What are they using? They're basically using Office, they're using browser, some special specific business tools, and whether those tools are set up for the Macintosh or whether they're just set up for Windows, the nice thing about the Mac is if you have to run Windows, you can. And whether you do it through Boot Camp or whether you do it through a VM like Parallels, doesn't matter. You can still run it. You can run all those same business tools. So what kind of Mac should they buy? Well, actually, let's talk about their considerations first. Duh. Cost, long-term use, ease of integration with mobile devices, which is becoming more and more important as time goes on. So in this particular case, my feeling was that for the desktop, the Mac Mini. For the laptop, either a MacBook or a MacBook Air. Being business users, they're going to be very, very mobile. So the next example, college students. And I don't know, how many people here have kids in college or getting ready to go to college? Have you bought them computers yet that they're going to take with them? Some of the considerations that I came up with is what are they going to use? I mean, again, it's not that dissimilar from what business people use. Office software, subject-specific software, and a browser. So their considerations, cost, power, ease of integration with mobile devices, most importantly, especially for college students, durability. College kids can be really, really tough on technology. As having a son in college, actually 2 sons in college now, I don't buy them new because if they break it, I don't want them to break my heart or my wallet. So they're on older laptops and older Mac Minis, and again, these are older machines that will do everything that they need to do. And you know, I'm like kind of dominating this conversation.
That's fine, that's fine. I was just going to jump in and say, it's certainly in the UK, if you buy through a student scheme,
yeah,
actually you get Apple Care as well. That's one thing I found out, which you don't know. So something to take into mind.
Yeah, so not only do you get like, if you go through the education store, you get a discount on the computer.
You get that.
But they also include Apple Care, right?
Yep.
So that's a significant savings, but that's if you're buying new. And Mac Mini or iMac for the desktop, and for a laptop, a MacBook Pro. There we go, stay-at-home parent. Yeah, don't you love these images? What they'll use is office software, hobbyist or work from home required software, and a browser. So make sure that whatever software you get for them, or whatever hardware you get for them, is going to run the software that they want to use. Desktop Mac Mini or iMac, laptop MacBook. But, however, and you and I have talked about this on the podcast many times, maybe they don't need a Mac at all. Maybe they can do very well with an iPad, with like a Bluetooth. How many people here have iPads? Do you have Bluetooth keyboards with them? You'd be surprised, for all of you who have iPads and don't have a Bluetooth keyboard, how much more versatility you can get from an iPad with a Bluetooth keyboard. The last 3 Macworld Expos I went to, I did not take a laptop. I took my iPad and I took my iPhone. I shot video and recorded audio with the iPhone, transferred it to the iPad, put together podcasts, including Skype conversations, put out podcasts that Tim was kind enough to post for me, as he does every single week for the MyMac podcast, and edited video, uploaded it to YouTube, and I was walking around with a backpack that was about 50 pounds less than what I'd been carrying the year before. So don't discount the power of an iPad. And as time goes on, Apple is adding more and more functionality to the iPad, and I think we're getting real close to the point where it can be, really, your only computer, if you so desire it.
Totally agree.
And they last a really long time, too.
They do.
And one more thing. Thank you. I'll be here all week.
Yeah, and this session is not going to go on for 45 minutes, is it?
No, it's not. As a matter of fact, she's giving me the, come on, finish already. Damn you.
I was relating to a recent event.
Oh, I got 3 minutes. Okay, anyway, thank you all for your time in coming here and your kindness and like not throwing rotten fruit at me as I'm standing up here, because I've got this new shirt on. What do you think of this shirt and tie? Isn't that nice? Yeah. Ooh, tough crowd.
No, careful.
And also, thank you all for coming to Macstock. This is the start of something that we all hope is going to be really, really big. And we hope to see you next year. For everyone who's here locally, we hope that you'll come again next year. And I can't promise that I'll speak. Thank you. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Tom. He'll be here all week, too.
He's a fan.
Not invited yet.
And that's it. Are there any questions? Yes, sir.
It's a bit off topic, but...
Oh, shocker, the MyMac podcast.
What's the deal with the ADB keyboard that Gaz had to bring across from the UK?
I think that you might hear a little bit from a certain podcast called Tech Fan. That gentleman standing at the back there, Tim. It was brought across from his colleague, David Cohen. So, yeah, and how much does it weigh, Tim?
4 pounds.
Yeah, it's at one heavy kit. It's just an old Apple keyboard.
Yeah, Gaz is actually going to leave one of his suitcases here in the States now, because he's not going to need it to go back to the UK.
No.
Are there any other questions? Any other comments?
People stick.
People stick? What is that?
You gonna have a people's pick today?
Oh, People's Pick. Is there anyone here that uses software that's kind of obscure, that other people may not have heard of, that you'd like to share with the audience today?
Oh, that's putting them on the spot.
Raise your hand if you have one.
I use Scrivener, and I'm not sure how many people like here do.
Scrivener? And what do you use Scrivener for?
I write books. I'm a novelist.
Oh, are you self-published?
Not yet.
CreateSpace. I actually have a book. And I have copies of it here today. I wasn't going to mention this, but we still have, how much time do we have?
You have 36 seconds.
I have 36 seconds. It's called the Maltese Cube. I'll have copies of it here today. It's only $6, and I will autograph it for you, and it'll be worth so much more after that.
625.
Yeah, $6.25 at least. And if you wait, like, give it to your kids 100 years from now, people will go, what the hell is that? Yes, Mr. Braun.
Commentary, because I did this when I got a refurb. So I'm very happy with my refurb. Number of discounts. One, you know, an Apple employee, they can get you friends and family, and I took advantage of that. I think they also, a lot of big companies have an employee purchase plan. I think government, there's a government store, and I think you mentioned the education store.
Yes.
There's a lot of ways. Personally, I don't think I'm ever going to buy new again. The last several machines I got are refurbs, and you get the warranty. I think you can buy, you can buy Apple Care. I still have to get that. But I'm so thrilled with it.
Yep, I agree. And that's all the time we have. Thank you all so much for being here. If you wait a few minutes, there will actually be a speaker who has a much better presentation than we did, and that's Allison Sheridan. Where is she? I know she's here. I just saw her. Oh, there she is right there. Yeah.
She's been commenting on
Pose
you
for
all
me.
the time.
Pose for me. Pose.
Since you get to talk.
Like
Oh.
you like each other.
Oh, just like we like each other. Thank you all so very much.